We want to look at introduction to the if statements. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand what decision making means in Excel. You should be able to explain what an if statement is. You should be able to understand how Excel makes logical decisions. You should be able to write simple if formulas correctly. You should be able to understand the structure, syntax of the if function. You should be able to use comparison operator correctly. You should be able to apply if function to solve real life problems. And you should be able to automate simple decisions in Microsoft Excel. Imagine you are a class teacher. A student writes an examination and scores 78. Immediately you say passed. Another student scores 72. Immediately you say fail. Did you need a calculator? No. Did you need Excel? No. Your brain simply made a decision based on a rule. The rule was if the score is 50 or above, the student passed. Otherwise, the student fails. Every day, people make decisions like this without even thinking about it. The amazing thing is that Excel can make these same decisions automatically. This is exactly what the if function allows us to do. Learning the if function, we need to understand what a decision is. Decision making is the process of choosing one result based on a condition. A condition is simply a rule or question that must be checked before making a decision. Everyday examples. For example, if it is raining, carry an umbrella. If your battery is low, charge it. If you have enough money, buy the item. If the traffic is heavy, leave home early. If your exam score is 50 or above, you passed. Notice that every example has two things. Number one, a condition, and number two, a decision. This is the same pattern that Excel follows. Computers do not think the way humans do. Instead, computers make decisions using logic. A logical decision asks a question that has only two possible answers, true or false. There is no middle answer. Examples. Is 10 greater than 5? The answer is either true or it is false. Is 15 less than 9? Is Lagos the capital of Nigeria? False. Is 100 equal to 100? True. Excel makes decisions by checking whether a condition is true or false. True and false are called logical values. They are the foundation of every if statement. When Excel checks a condition, it first determines whether the condition is true or the condition is false. Only after making that decision does Excel know what results to display. For example, question, is 80 greater than 50? Excel checks the condition. The answer is what? True. Question, is 25 greater than 50? The answer is what? False. So every if function in Excel begins by asking a true or false question. Real life examples of logical decisions. Let's look at situations where people make decisions every day. For example, in a school, if a student's score is 50 or above, display pass, otherwise display fail. In a bank, if a customer has enough account balance, approve the withdrawal, otherwise decline the transaction. That is what is done in the ATM machine. Business, if monthly sales are greater than 500,000, award a bonus, otherwise no bonus. Hospital, if a patient's temperature is above normal, send for further medical examination, otherwise continue normal observation. These are all examples of if statements because a decision depends on what? A condition. An if statement is a logical instruction that says if a condition is true, do one thing, otherwise do something else. It is simply a way of making decision. For example, if you finish your assignment, you can play games. Otherwise, finish your assignment first. So, if your attendance is 75 or above, you can write the examination. Otherwise, you are not eligible. So, it means we will look at the attendance. That is the condition. Is it up to 75 and above? If it's yes, then the person can write the examination. But if it is not up to that, then you are not eligible for the examination. So, an if statement is not limited to Excel. It is a logical way of thinking that is used in everyday life, programming, mathematics, and business. What is an if function? Now that we understand what an if statement is, let's see how Excel performs the same task. The if function is a built-in Excel function that allows Excel to make decisions automatically. It checks whether a condition is true or false. If the condition is true, Excel returns a result. And if the condition is false, it returns another result. In simple words, think of the if function as asking Excel a question. If the answer is yes, that is true, Excel performs one action. And if the answer is no, that is false, Excel performs another action. Example, if a student's score is 78, Excel displays pass. If another student's score is 42, Excel displays fail. That is based on the condition you have given the Excel. Instead of making these decisions manually for hundreds of thousands or thousands of students, Excel can make them automatically using the if function. Every Excel function has a structure called syntax. Syntax is the correct way a function must be written so that Excel can understand it. The syntax of the if function is if, then logical text, then value if true, then value if false. This syntax tells Excel exactly how to make a decision. The if function always follows the same structure. If the syntax is not written correctly, Excel will return an error instead of the expected results. Consider the formula if b2 is greater than or equals to 50, return pass, otherwise return fail. So what this means is this b2 greater than or equals to 50 is the logical text, that is our condition. Then pass is the value if it is true, and fail is the value it returns if it is false. Three arguments, and that is the logical text, that's the condition you want the Excel to look at to decide true or false on. Then the second argument is the value if that condition is true. So when it checks the condition, if it is true, it returns the value if true. Then the next one is the value if false. So it returns that value when the condition is false. When Excel is using the formula, it first of all checks the logical text. Then it will now check whether the condition is true or false. So if the condition is true, it will return the value that you tell it to return if the condition is true. If the condition is false, it will return the value that you ask it to return if it is false. So let's understand comparison operators. The if function uses comparison operators to compare values. They can also be called logical operators. These operators help Excel decide whether a condition is true or false. So the operators include greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and not equal to. So take note of the respective symbols. Those are used when you are typing your formula. So these are the important rules when using your Excel. Every function must begin with the equals to sign. Number two, text value must be enclosed in quotation marks. That's if you want it to return the value in form of text, you have to put the value in quotation mark. Then the next is always separate arguments using commas. Always close the brackets. Then use the correct cell reference. Then typing the wrong cell reference will produce incorrect results. Okay, real life examples of the function, we can look at its attendance. It's useful in attendance, useful in sales performance, loan approval. So if you look at the attendance, for example, if B2 is greater than or equals to 75, eligible, not eligible. For the sales performance, if C2 is greater than or equals to 500,000, return excellent, and next return needs improvement. So Excel will check what value is in C2. If it is greater than or equals to 500,000, it will return what? Excellent. And if it is not, it will return needs improvement. If function is one of the most widely used functions in Excel, and it is used in various spheres. We can use it in schools, we can use it in banks, we can use it in businesses, we can use it in hospitals, we can use it in government agencies. So if you check each of them, they are examples of how they are being used there. For example, in business, you can use to calculate bonuses, you can use to determine discounts, you can use to classify customer purchases, and so on and so forth. So these are mistakes you should not make when using the if function. The first one is forgetting the quotation mark. So if you don't put the quotation mark, Excel will not return the text value to you. Then the next thing is using wrong comparison operator. So you should know what comparison operator you use. If you use greater than 50, then the value will be checked based on 50. So if the person scores exactly 50, it will tell the person that the person failed because you said greater than 50 means pass. So another thing is forgetting to close your brackets. Then another one is using using the wrong cell reference. So you have to always check your formulas very well and check your cell references. All right, so look at this data set that we have here. So now we want to know the students' results. So this is their score. So we want to see the response. What should be their status? So we can say if. So you pick the if function. And what's the logical text now? The logical text is this part, which is E2. Let's say E2, if it is greater than or equal to 50, comma, return pass, then close it, then comma. So the comma, it moves to value first, then we return fail, then we close the bracket. So when we enter this now, it returns the value here. Then what do? Instead of having to write it through, you just copy down, then you copy down and all of this, and you have your final results. We might want to play with the if functions more by saying equals to if. So we just pick a logical test. You pick here, let's pick here. Let's say if this place is equal to mail. So you can see when we are dealing with text, you have to put the quotation. So Excel will read it as text. So what will be the value if true? Let's say it returns you are a boy. And then what will be the value if false? It returns you are a girl. Alright, we close it. Then we send this. So if we look at this, you discover that it brings the value. Then we copy it down. You copy it down, then you adjust the colon, and what's the